Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And welcome back with me again. I'm Alief Zaki with serial number 204001244040. I will let you explain something about derivational morphology. Okay, previously I've explained about inflectional morphology. Now, what is the difference between inflectional morphology and derivational morphology? And okay, they both work by adding a fix for each word, like suffix or prefix. But the difference is the derivational morphology not only works in grammatical roles but also changes the word entirely, and the core meaning is as well as different significance. And now, like here's the example. The word happy, which is you know that happy is an adjective, but when you add "un" as a prefix before the word happy, you get the word unhappy, which change from the adjective to a noun. Okay, now let me explain about common prefixes and suffixes usually used in both inflectional and derivational morphology. And now we got the prefixes "un", which usually explains something's not correct, which for example like "un" and "unhappy." And now we got this, which 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 has function as an opposition. For example, in this agree. And there's also pre, which explains something like before, like previous or preview. And there's also re, to explain something that been done again or repetition, like redo, rewrite, reread. And now, what about the affixes? Like the suffixes, like ly to change, to may change like the adjective to an adverb, and like ness to explain the quality of something like happiness, kindness, and something like that. And I bet most of you guys knows about that there are several forms of a verb, like verb 1, verb 2, verb 3, present participle, past participle, and yeah. And what's the function? There are so many word forms to learn. Okay, now that's what's called word families. What's the point by learning all of this? It might help you recognize the morphological connection among each words, and it can also boost your retention in improving your vocabulary context. And now, how do you make learning the revised morphology easily? And now there's something called word sum and word matrix, where you show the word structure of each words, and you may find out by yourself the root, the base, or the stems. You may as well like matching affixes in parts of speech, and also you can do like morphemes hunting in reading, so that you can understand the word structure that with the derivational morphology. And of course, I wanted to explain something that is indeed important for learning derivational morphology in both academic context and everyday context. Like you see, for example, in academic context, it might improve your creativity, your critical thinking skill about learning the word structure from step by step. And in everyday context, it might improve your communication skill, like how you interact with people or you express yourself in, of course, grammatical doesn't matter in speaker, but whatever. Of course, learning the revision method might be challenging for several students. Like have to first obstacle you might have when you lack of vocabulary. Of course, when you lack of vocabulary, you have to deep expand your vocabulary by reading, watching movie, listening to music, something like that. And when you lack of part of speech knowledge, you have to learn from scratch about word class. Furthermore, if you have difficulties in choosing the correct affixes for each word, you may start by memorize each function of the derivation of the common affixes that I have mentioned previously, and you may practice it by yourself to add the different type of affixes for each word, and you can see the result. And I forgot to mention that there also is something called word morphology notebook and word stem. Word stem I've mentioned that previously, but about word notebooks, it's like, like um, basic version of each words, like the structure of the word itself consists of root, base, and stems. What's the point by learning them? Because it might help you to collect, categorize, or reflect on the tension of each morphology, and it might also help you to explore the morphology. Okay, I think that's all I can explain for tonight. I'm sorry if there were any mistakes. We just have too many of them, and that will day. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.